becoming more connected with that intuition, with your heart voice, because you can't really act upon it if you don't hear it, and you can't really hear it if you don't get still often enough to be able to sort of allow that the volume on that voice to get turned up.
There you are.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
You look beautiful. Where are you?
Oh, thank you. I have my hair and makeup all done today. I had to do TV and studio, so I'm fancy today.
Hey, all right.
I'm actually in Santa Monica. You can see the trees.
Okay, beautiful.
But I had to find a little corner, so it's against a wall. But there's a bit of a patio.
Well, thank you for making the effort and the time and disrupting your schedule to make it happen.
Oh my goodness, of course. I love you, and I love all the wisdom that you're sharing. And I'm really excited about this book. And I was talking about it for just a couple of minutes before you joined. But I think this is perfect. You can tell us more about it. I was telling people how you just sort of, well, you need to share how that started. I said, he decided to pack up everything and sell everything and put everything in a bag, and that bag kept getting smaller and smaller. And through this journey, he learned what he's going to share with us today and what he shares in his book about spiritual minimalism. But first, share us about how that first started. What made you even want to pack up everything? I mean, I know, but we need to tell everyone else though.
So the book is called Travel Light, Spiritual Minimalism to Live a More Fulfilled Life. And it starts with me moving out of my 2-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica and moving into a carry-on bag. And so what prompted that was about a year earlier, I had this inner calling to just live a more nomadic life, right? Which I identified as like the voice of my heart. And now I recognize, okay, so when your heart or your intuition or your inner guidance is telling you to do something, one of the telltale signs is it's not going to make any sense. And my situation didn't make any sense. It's like you have this beautiful apartment, you're paying under market rent for it. It's 10 minutes walking from the beach. Everybody who comes there loves it. You're able to do a bunch of other things and travel because you have this place. It makes you feel calm and peaceful inside. And all of that was true, but that wasn't the message. That wasn't the message. And so that message was coming from the same place that I downloaded other guidance in my life to do things. So I knew I had to take it seriously. But of course, I'm human, so I resisted. I resisted for months. And then what started happening was really interesting. I started having these run-ins with my landlord, and I started feeling more and more disconnected from the apartment. And then I said, okay, this is a sign that I really need to just start to make some moves here. And so on May 31st, 2018, I moved out into my carry-on bag. And then a year later, I downsized to this backpack here. I put everything that I own in this backpack. And what I learned from that experience is that it didn't make me happier. It didn't make me happier. But in hindsight, what I realized is that I did it because I was already feeling a sense of fulfillment. And that sense of fulfillment made me feel less attached to the things that I had in my life. And that's what the central message of this book is about. It's not about living from a backpack. It's not about getting rid of anything. It's about cultivating a connection with your heart voice so that you can do your version of that, your version of the thing that may be curious, but it doesn't make any sense. Because when you do that, if enough time passes, you're going to be sitting there with your book or your keynote talk or your blog or your podcast telling your story of how something told you to ... and you went with it, and it ended up putting on this amazing adventure.
Well, and And for all of those, and thank you first off for everyone who's on here who joined us on short notice. Actually, there's quite a few on here, a few of you on here, and I definitely want to make sure that the message is clear. This is not a travel book. This is not some travel hack book. This is really about the message that's been learned. This is your whole journey. I feel like this is the evolution of your spiritual journey, and what I feel like you're saying in this book, in a way that you've kind of said and threaded through all of your teachings and wisdom, is really about focusing on that heart voice. And yet it came through to you again here. And I'm not sure everyone here knows your background. Would you mind just running through that really briefly? Because I know a lot of people here do. They're in our community. They've listened to our chat before.
Of course.
But for those that don't, I would love for them to know what your background is and who you are in this beautiful world, and the teachings that you've already given.
Yeah. So I grew up in the Bible Belt. I grew up in the South, in the southern part of America, and had a very traditional upbringing, nothing spiritual, no meditation, none of that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until I got into fashion. I was a fashion model in New York, and I had all this downtime, and I started dabbling in yoga and in meditation, and really conventional meditation, sitting with your back straight and your legs crossed and all of that. And I liked the idea of it, but the actual experience of it felt torturous. And then I moved to Los Angeles in 2003, and that's where I met the man who became my meditation teacher, who showed me how to meditate in a way that was actually enjoyable. And then I recognized that I had a calling to teach other people how to do that. So I started doing that, and then I started writing books about it and giving talks about it. And so here we are, 4 books in. And all of my books, my first book about happiness was really a book about meditation. My second book was a how-to book on meditation. The third book is a book on inspiration with some meditation sprinkled in. And so this book, the fourth book, is about spiritual minimalism. So I talk about the minimalist approach to meditation as a means of becoming more connected with that intuition, with your heart voice, because you can't really act upon it if you don't hear it, and you can't really hear it if you don't get still often enough to be able to sort of allow the volume on that voice to get turned up. So I've been in this game for a long time. I've taught thousands of people, lots of celebrities and really high profile people like you in Los Angeles. But I taught a lot of regular people too. And I've heard all of the different excuses that people have for not doing these kinds of practices. And I've also seen those same people have breakthroughs when they learn how to do less to accomplish more. And so that's what I'm still very much excited about. It's just spreading this knowledge and helping people to access the depths of their awareness, so they too can discover that that's the source of their happiness and fulfillment. It's always been inside of us. Unfortunately, a lot of us have to spend decades searching for it externally through achievements, only to realize that every time you achieve something great, you still are going to be in the same happiness state that you were in before the achievement. And so until you go inside and start cultivating it within, that you're really going to experience the rise in your baseline level of happiness.
And it's just such a powerful reminder. You've done it so many different ways through all your different books, your talks, your events, your teachings. Even when you were just at dinner at our dear friend's house, just talking over dinner. I mean, you're constantly sharing and cultivating that wisdom clearly within yourself, but as you share it through others. And so, just another thank you for writing this. Another powerful tool for everyone, for the rest of us. I got a digital copy. So can you show us? I'm waiting for my hard copy.
Hard copy.
Yes. I want to can we see the inside a bit?
Yeah. It's a beautifully illustrated book. I had this illustrator take a lot of my photos from my journey and to incorporate them in these mixed media art illustration pieces.
Wow.
And she just did an amazing job bringing the
Wow.
stories to life. Like, for instance, this is a photo of the view from my apartment, my flat in Paris, when I took one of my first big leaps of faith after college. Those of you who are familiar with Paris, you may recognize that's the Sacre-Cœur. It's in And so, yeah, it was really exciting to see all of this come together. And this is a illustration of my one pair of shoes. These are Stan Smiths. These are white Adidas Stan Smiths. But it's kind of like the minimalist recommended shoe. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you get the hard copy, the audio is great too, though. I have to say, I read the audio and it got kind of emotional reading it at certain points. Just personal nature of a lot of the stories that are in the book. So yeah, I'm glad that you got a digital copy.
Would you mind maybe reading us a small
100%.
short? Yeah, I think we'd love that. And send hearts, everyone, and let us know if you'd love it just as much as I would.
Yeah, I'll read a very short section. Okay, people don't like being read to, and I'm like that too. But I think you guys will really enjoy this one. It's called Scary Yes. Scary Yes. So some motivational speakers say that if an idea or if a proposition doesn't elicit a hell yes, then don't even bother, which is cute. But the spiritual minimalist sees acting on a hell yes as easy and obvious. If something is a hell yes, of course you're going to do it. But what the spiritual minimalist finds particularly intriguing is a scary yes. You want to take an ice bath in the winter? What about starting that podcast you've been telling yourself you wanted to start for the last 3 years? Or going to therapy and figuring out why you keep attracting narcissists? Or how about attending that addiction recovery program finally? Those kinds of yeses are scary because they force you out of your comfort zone and into your growth zone. But once you act on a scary yes, you discover a very few interesting things. Number one, it's no longer as scary. Number two, you're more apt to do other things that are scary. And number three, and this is the most important one, if something's not at least initially scary, you're not likely to grow from it. So start saying yes to more of those things that scare you, not because they're dangerous, but because they help you to access your potential. So what's interesting is this book is full of little anecdotes and vignettes and stories like that. And it's a choose your own adventure read. So you literally just flip it open, see what catches your eye. And then it's like the story's no more than a page or two. And, so you can read it for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, put it down, come back to it later, put it in your bathroom, take it on a trip.
I love that. Those are, those type of books are what I call forever learning books.
Yes.
Because it's not something that you just read. I mean, you could read cover to cover, but something that you just pick up and you just open up whenever you feel so inspired to. Have you heard of the term bibliomancy?
Yeah.
So
that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like you're allowing your intuition to guide you. And it's kind of like the medium is the message, because that's what the book is giving you an opportunity to do, is start to live your life more from intuition. So I say that in the book. Just see where your intuition guides you. And that's another way of listening to your heart voice.
Absolutely. So just to circle back, because I know and people have maybe jumped on and off since then, but when you talk about heart voice and this beautiful passage that you read about that scary yes, is that our heart voice? Is that our heart voice whispering at us when we kind of hear that sort of scary yes, that sort of uncertain, hesitant yes?
Absolutely. Yeah. The heart voice is, I describe the heart voice as a very maternal, nurturing voice, right? The heart voice, it's like, imagine if you're like performing and it's a really bad performance and then everybody in the auditorium starts to leave. Who's going to be the last person there usually? Clapping. Your mom, right? That maternal energy, right? So the unconditionally loving energy. And that's what the heart voice is like. But also at the same time, that heart voice is directing you towards your potential. So it's not going to say do something that's going to make you more comfortable in the short term, but then have worse ramifications in the long term, just like that internal voice in our life. Usually it's like, no, eat your vegetables now because it's going to allow you to have more a healthier body down the line. Or you're not going to watch all this TV. You're not going to eat all this junk food, right? That's that maternal voice that has our best interest at heart. That's what the heart voice is like. So the way you know you're following it is that it makes you kind of uncomfortable in the short term, but then it leads to a long-term sense of growth and expansion.
And it's funny because that voice is also sort of the voice that challenges us, right? Like at the same time. So, you know, in your journey to this spiritual minimalism, you know, what has been some of the most, or maybe the most challenging part?
Oh, man. You know, you don't realize how conditioned you are to have a plan. Do you intentionally allow yourself to not have a plan? And then people keep asking, what's your plan? What are you doing? What's your plan for 6 months? And it's like, well, part of the deal is I don't even know where I'm staying next week. I'm literally going to foreign countries with no plans. I don't even know where I'm staying that night, the night I plan. And I just kind of, again, you just trust in that present moment to provide you with everything you need. Now, obviously, there are exceptions. If I'm going to work, then I need to make sure I have everything in place so that I can do the best possible job that I need to do. But if I'm just like traveling around leisurely, or if I'm going to go and post up somewhere and just write or whatever, I like to challenge myself to see how much comfort I can find in the discomfort of not having plans, and just see how things have worked out. And I've had several situations where things just fell into place in the most unexpected way, but it was better than what I imagined for myself. I tell several stories in the book about like very personal experiences where I would end up in a better position than I ever thought I would be in, just from not really having a plan, and from just being present, from saying yes to what felt most aligned in the moment.
And you know, I mean, all of this, as you already know, aligns with me so much. You know, just having that faith, going with the flow of your heart, you know, that heart voice, and then and really just what feels in alignment with your soul. And it just sounds like, again, just the thread of all your teachings and all your wisdom. And now with this latest installment, it's just reminding us of that. And, you know, I know that there are different things throughout your journey that have inspired you. And, you know, in this journey, at what point did you decide this is the book that I'm going to write? This is the book I'm going to put together.
Yeah, that's a great question. So having written 3 prior books, at some point you start to see life through books, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so after a couple of years of living this spiritual minimalist lifestyle, I'm a natural teacher. I've been teaching for over 15 years, actually over 20 years, if I include my yoga teaching. And so when I learned something, I just naturally want to share it with people. And I started, what really moved the needle was learning how to hand wash my clothes, which is something that I never quite figured out how to do in all of my travels. So I always had to pack more than I thought that I would need in case I had to change underwear, you know, outfit or t-shirts or whatever. But when I went on, one day I just said, you know what? I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to watch some videos, and I'm going to learn how to hand wash my clothes. And I did that. And then I practiced it several times in my own apartment before I eventually took it on the road. And that was a game changer, because now I could cut my wardrobe down, you know, significantly. And then I was like, people have to know about this. Like when you're traveling with a bunch of stuff, and let's say you arrive at your destination and your luggage doesn't, it's gonna yank you right out of the moment. And people are trying to like have dinner, and you're like frustrated, and we've all been around people like that. Maybe we've been that person where the luggage didn't arrive, and all you're thinking about is what you don't have. You don't realize not only how much it's taking you out of the moment, but you're kind of being a drag on everyone else unintentionally, right? And when you learn how to become more self-sufficient in these ways by mastering skills like washing your clothes, it's first of all, it's not about washing your clothes, it's about using that as a tactic to be more present. So in one case, it may be washing your clothes. In another case, it may be leaving a hotel room better than you found it. In another case, it may be making a little origami note time for someone who did something nice for you, right? So there's all these ways of metaphorically stopping and smelling the roses. And then the cumulative effect of that is you start to cultivate more present moment awareness, in which case you're able to see things and make connections between things that you would have probably otherwise missed. And that's what makes life fun and exciting and enjoyable, is you're able to go with the flow more often than not and adapt to change more often than not.
It's so beautiful. And you know, I've noticed that I actually sort of get into that mindset much more when I am traveling. Because everything is, even when there is a plan, and of course I'm traveling different than you have been, you know, that everything is new, you know, everything is different. I'm in a different city or a different country, and it does sort of bring you into that present moment. I mean, unless you're just completely not, you're noticing, you know, it smells different here, looks different here. And so that's just another beautiful reminder. There's so many questions here. I haven't actually scrolled through. I'm so sorry, you guys. I know that there are questions about whether or not you're going to come to other parts of the world to talk and share about your book. Someone mentioned Paris. I think there was a couple other cities on here. I'll have to scroll back.
Yeah, I mean, right now the plan is not to do a worldwide book tour, but hopefully if this book gains enough international traction, once it starts coming out in these different markets, that could totally be a possibility. I'm overthinking right now. It's not like I have a home anywhere, so
that's true.
Wherever I am is my home, and yeah, I'm always looking for opportunities to spread the message of happiness being found inside and the importance of taking time each day to cultivate it.
Amazing.
Look forward to crossing paths with you again soon. I'll be back in LA in weeks, so hopefully we'll get a chance to connect.
Oh, great. Yes, that would be beautiful. Books like this, where you're getting messages every single day, and it can just be something that you pick up and you just open the book. And we talk about bibliomancy. We're not going to tell you what that means because I want you guys to look it up. But what it means is when you pop open the book and you turn a page, the message that you need in that moment, the message that you need for that day is right there on that page, and you will see it. So books like this are incredibly powerful, and they keep giving back to us. You know, they're like forever books, as I said before. So there we go. Just a good reminder for you guys. So go on there. It's the type of thing that I get like 10 or 15 of and just give away as gifts. And it's kind of the perfect gift for anyone.
Thank you so much for again making this possible. I really appreciate it.
Of course, of course. I hope to see you next week. I think I'll be in town. I should be. So we'll just connect. And thank you so much for doing this. Thank you guys all for being here.
Thank you.
And
Take care.
if you have questions about bibliomancy, I would say you can DM us. But actually, you know what? I'll put it on my stories later, what the little gift will be. So let us know that you got something, and then we'll see you guys soon.
Beautiful. Thank you. Namaste.
All right.
Take care.
Namaste. Bye.